So, have you ever wandered into a shop, actually I'm sure you have, and asked the question, how much does this cost? Specifically this pen. Yeah, I'm sure you have, and I'm sure you've probably got the wrong answer. Alright, and what I'm going to talk to you very quickly about is the difference between this word and this other word. And it becomes very important when we talk about procurement. So the cost of something is purely the cost incurred in producing that asset. Okay. So if it's this pen, it would be the cost of all the materials that went into the production of this pen. And this could vary. This could go up and down based on how much plastic is costing or how much the oil price is and so on at a certain point in time. So the cost can be volatile because what it costs us one day could be cheap, the next day expensive, exchange rates and so on. Okay? A lot of factors go into that. The price, however, is what I'm going to charge the buyer. And this is what you're going to pay as a consumer. That's the price. So when you walk into a shop again and you ask the cost of something, flip it around and say, look, what's the price of this item? And the price should cover your costs and then some, because most people go into business to make money. So from this point of view, we're going to say, look, very early on, we identified the cost to be $100. And then we thought, look, we need to price this so people buy it, and we'll say that we'll price it $110. And this becomes the price that we've set. When the black line, the cost, is below the green line, we're kind of happy. So in these times we're making money, we're pretty sweet. What happens though if we lock ourselves into a price, and we'll talk about next with the fixed price or lump sum contracts versus the cost plus, is when this happens, it's actually costing us more to produce, let's call this $200, than we're actually charging the buyer. So we're actually making a loss. Profit, because the costs go down, loss and so on. Now, when we look at how we actually charge people, especially from a contracts point of view, there's lots, but there's two main types of contracts from a cost perspective. There's a cost plus and there's a fixed price or lump sum contract. Both of these contracts tend to try and offset risk from one to the other. So, with a cost plus contract, basically our price is a function of the cost. So, we come up with a margin, and let's say 10%, and what it costs us, we add on that markup, which then becomes our margin. And the price becomes a function of that. So the price is more than the cost. And this is good because it reduces the risk to us as a business. However, from a client perspective, they may not agree because it makes it hard for them to budget. Because one day you're charging them $110, the next day you're charging them $220 and so on. The fixed price model, however, is basically that initial green line I drew. We come up with a price that we're going to charge the client over a duration. From a project management point of view, make sure that your scope is very specific at this point because you're not getting anything extra. And we come up with that price, and regardless of our fluctuations in our costs, the client still charge that price. Okay. Advantages and disadvantages to both. The fundamental thing is it's a transfer of risk. So cost plus contract, usually the buyer bears the risk because if the cost goes up, the price also goes up. In a fixed price contract, usually the contractor bears a degree of the risk because if the cost of doing the service goes up, generally the price will remain static. Cool, hopefully that's explained very quickly the differences between cost and price. Have an awesome day, and what I'll do is I'll do another linked video on how we lose money in businesses, because this is just the start.